Good day, YouTube. Today is the 23rd of January, 2021. This is the 302, the 5-liter engine that's in my 66 F100 shop truck. Got a number of videos out. Just put a video out yesterday where we completed the assembly of this engine, where we tore it down and put a stage 3 cam, lifters, got new push rods. Previous owner did head gaskets, valve guide seals, put ARP bolts in the heads. He put new headers on. I completed the exhaust with dual 2.5-inch exhaust. Yesterday we fired the engine very briefly, got the oil changed, all that jazz, ready to do a cam break-in, just waiting for the new radiator to arrive on Monday. Today is Saturday. So when I was fiddling with the timing yesterday, trying to make it run just a little better, I got bit. Spark plugs are not good. The spark plug wires are not good. And I kind of knew that. I was having trouble because we don't have swap meets anymore. I used to buy all my spark plug boots, etc. at swap meets. Then if I needed something else, between swap meets, there was a local auto parts store that had a good selection. Well, the auto parts store quit keeping the good selection, and that's kind of sad. So I was going to build a set of spark plug wires for this, maybe even started them yesterday, instead of spending the time cleaning up these old wires and putting them back on, which I ended up doing. I was concerned I didn't have enough parts to put another set together. I recently did put a set together for my Geo tracker. And I buy my cable by a 100-foot roll. But I was stopped at that parts store, and they did have a couple packages. What I was going to be short was the distributor cap boots, and they had 2 packages, a total of 12 boots. So I bought everything they had, and I have more than enough stuff to build a set of wires. So that's going to be the task for today. It's pretty chilly out, pretty icy. But the sun is out, so it's going to be a very nice day. It's going to warm up in the 40s. But I got the heater going, got a lot of heaters going, as a matter of fact, to try to make it a pleasant place to work. This engine very recently went from exhaust manifolds to headers, and I really am a fan of the straight boots at the spark plugs, generally speaking. But these actually put those pretty close to the header pipes. So I think I'm going to go all 90-degree spark plug boots and 90-degree distributor cap boots. So I'm going to go ahead and start building wires. And the way I do this is I kind of like to wait till the timing's set pretty close, so the distributor's in the position where it's going to be in, roughly. And I am there. I just set it at a quick 10 degrees before top dead center. Might be some adjustments to be made, but just a couple degrees one way or the other. And that distributor is pretty much sitting there. That way I can make the wires fit very well. That coil wire bugging the daylights out of me because it's really long. And I changed the location of the coil. There's a plug wire or 2 here that are just way out in the boonies. I don't like that. And they're just simply too long, and you can see that one there is actually running, rubbing into the header, and I have my pickup for my timing light still hanging on it, which is why it's doing that. But with 90-degree terminals on it, it's going to clear everything by a long ways. So that's really the right direction to go, even though it's not my favorite. Going to build 90s on the cap and 90s at the spark plug. So let me show you what I'm working with, and we'll go from there. So this is my 100-foot roll of its Pico 7mm. This is a copper core spark plug wire. You can get this at Summit Racing. Probably Jegs has it as well. If you've got a sensitive electronics and high-end stereo and all that stuff, you may want to go to suppression core and not go to a copper core. For me, it's all about the performance and not necessarily great sounding radio. This might put a little static in your audio system, but the newer the system, the less likely that is to happen. I know my CB radio doesn't like this wire that I put in my Geo Tracker, FYI. Pico also makes, I think they're really good spark plug terminal accessories. Here's my little kit. And most of these are the Pico accessories. I keep some of the labels in there so I know what I've got. Let me see if I can show you that. There you go. And I used to kind of buy 7mm and 8mm stuff. I quit. I'm buying just 7mm stuff. It's good enough for me. I don't know why you need 8mm unless you're running, you know, monster coils or MSD or something like that. So I'm going to go with the 90-degree spark plug ends. These are the 90-degree crimp-on ends for the spark plug. These are some what I got this morning. I had a couple probably for the distributor cap, and you use this type of fitting or crimp-on connector for the distributor cap side and the coil for that matter. And crimper, I use these. I have built every set of plug wires since I was 16 years old, and I am 56 now, using these crimpers. I don't think my uncle watches my videos, but I actually bought this from my uncle's auto parts store when I was in high school rebuilding the engine in my first car. I was 16 years old, and I've been using them ever since. So yeah, pretty cool that you can buy these, and then that area right there where it says terminals here, I actually start off using that one to get it round, and then I use this one to crimp it. You can buy these. Here's a new pair. Actually, this is the pair I got from my uncle. There it is right there. So yeah, you can pick these up at a lot of places. You might, I don't know what brand this one is. I'm trying to remember if Harbor Freight has them or not. I actually can't remember. But different brands. That's probably the only ones that are in here. Oh, here you go. That one says 7 and 8mm on that crimper, but it doesn't have that indenter, so I wouldn't use that. So these definitely are great. It has that indenter side. So yeah, get you a pair and build your own. So this is what I'll be using today. Put those away. Alright, I'm going to start taking them off one at a time. Then I'm going to fit the wire to each location so that it's just the perfect length. Not too short, give it a little room, but I don't want them long. It really bothers me. And we'll lace them in real nice so that they're aesthetically pleasing. Nothing's hanging out, nothing's getting near the headers or stuff like that. So let's get started. Alright, so I've been goofing off a little bit this morning. I had to actually make a run into town and do a couple things. And I was in looking for something else, and I found this igniter electronic ignition module on my shelf, and I realized that I had it left over from something, or I bought it and it was for the wrong motor. So I looked up that number, and it is actually correct for the 302. So it's like, oh, cool. But I also noticed when I looked it up for the 302, it says not for use with solid core wires. And I'm like, what? So it looks like, you know, maybe this all happened for good reason, I guess. And so anyway, I decided to run down to Napa and get a set of plug wires correct for the truck that are suppression core, not solid core, because I know I'm going to put this Pertronics in. It was always a plan. I bought a new inexpensive stock replacement distributor with points in it, and then down the road I'd put a Pertronics in it. So I got the Pertronics. I mean, these are $100. I can get a set of plug wires for like $30. So I'm gonna go get them and put a a ready-made set of plug wires on it today, and I'll stick this back on the shelf for a future install. Might as well get a few miles out of the points that's in that distributor and change it out soon. So that's what I'm going to do. In the meantime, I don't like the oil pressure I'm seeing on the factory gauge, but it is 55 years old. So I've got this mechanical gauge. I actually had picked it up for a tractor that I no longer have. It's just a 40 psi swing. You could probably get the needle clear over there in the 50 range, which is probably all that engine's good for as it is. But I'm only reading like 15 pounds on the stock gauge, and that was whether it was cold or warm or whatever. I've changed the sending unit because it's an electric gauge, and it didn't read any different. So I want to hook up a gauge, a mechanical gauge, just to see what it really is. So I was hunting for, I know I've got a line kit around here somewhere. I'm just going to have to look a little harder so that I can hook this gauge up, whether I put it inside the cab or just stick it under the engine bay, or even hook it up temporarily and then disconnect it. We'll do something like that, but in the meantime I'm hunting for a line kit, but in the process I stumbled on the electronic ignition conversion, and that was good to find and do a little research, and now I'll go get different wires and put them on. So that's that. My search continues for a line kit to hook up that gauge. I'll find it. Alright, I'm back from running around parts stores and this and that. I got these Belden Edge spark plug wires from Napa, obviously. I actually found them on Napa online and then checked my local store, and they were there, and they're like $27. So can't complain about the price, and they are somehow guaranteed for life or something, except I probably already lost the receipt. Anyway, like I didn't get them there. The other thing I wanted to do, I think I mentioned, is to mount another oil pressure gauge, and I scrounged around, and I had this one. Maybe I showed it. I think I bought it for a tractor that I had. I liked the idea it was kind of a lower pressure on the tractor, but it'll work good for this, and I've scrounged up some other stuff that's kind of sitting around. It had this for a fitting out of the block right next to the oil filter, and the sending unit, this is actually a new one that because I replaced the one that looked new with this one that is new, and they both read the same. So there's nothing wrong with the old sending unit. I thought, well, I wonder if there's any like restriction in this thing. Well, I need to add a gauge to it anyway, so let's just go get some fittings. So I got some fittings. Oh, nuts. Yeah, I could have done that a little better. Anyway, I got some fittings. Looks like I don't need this. Too bad I already threw away the package. And I don't need this, but I need this. Wish I had a longer one of those. Dang it. Anyway, we'll get all this stuff put together and put in, and then I have a T here where I can hook up a mechanical gauge. I'm trying to decide whether to put this inside or just attach it under the hood. Even if I zip tie it in, it can be temporary, but we'll see. I got a big hole in the dash. Let me show you. Yep, massive hole in the dash where the radio was, and believe me, it's huge. It's probably 4 inches high and 8, 9, 10 inches wide. So it's going to take more than a radio to plug that hole. So I was thinking about maybe putting gauges or something in there. So got to think about that a little bit. Here's what the previous owner had put in. I don't even think that radio's good enough quality to even put a name on it. I don't even know if it's good enough to be a Craco. Oh, there might be a label on the top. Let's clean that off, see what it is. Got a brush. Ooh. Got a heck of a model number. It's made in Japan. Sears and Roebuck. Well, I'll be darned. Sears and Roebuck. Remember them? It's got a model number on it. Well, I don't think I'll toss it out. It might work. There wasn't even speakers in it, so I don't have it. Didn't have any way to tell for sure. Azimuth. That is a antenna adjustment of some kind. There's a hole through that little round thing. All right, I digress. Let me get some fittings put together and see about putting a mechanical oil pressure gauge on this thing, so I can understand what the oil pressure really is. Because the electric's telling me like 15 psi and it never changes. So don't know. We'll figure it out. What we're looking at now is I've extended the, there it is. I went and got all new fittings. I had to go twice, yep. And I got the sending unit mounted out here. It's in a larger pipe and there's no bend, so it's straight. My wire didn't quite reach, so I got a test lead on it for the moment. I'll have to extend the wire. Then I put a mechanical gauge in a T right there, which is why I had to replace all those fittings. And for the moment, I just put it here as a temporary location. Probably eventually put it inside on a dash panel, but for the moment I kind of want to know what's going on. And I got the new plug wires installed, so I'm going to fire it up for just for a minute and see if it runs different, better, hopefully. And again, the carburetor's not set, timing's rough at 10 degrees, and I just want to fire it up just for a moment. Again, we haven't done the cam break-in, so I'm not running it very long. Try to choke. Out 40 pounds here, barely reading 15 inside. All right, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. I pulled the choke all the way out. It was not very happy, but it did run. So, I'm not sure what else I have to fiddle with, but let me fiddle anyway, and I'll come back and tell you what I fiddled with. Alright, I found something to do. This is actually a piece of stainless. It's real heavy. This is what was in the dash of that truck holding the radio. I took the radio out. I did put the radio on the shelf. It might work. I don't know. I'll test it one day. But the dash has this hard curve in it as it comes up, kind of a bull nose. So I need to recreate this. I have a much thinner piece of aluminum. It's like 16th inch. This thing weighs like 3 pounds. So I got a piece of aluminum. I need to recreate this bend in this guy. So we need to come over about that angle. So I had this old drive shaft out of a little John Deere. We'll see if we can pull the bend in it. My vise isn't very wide, but it's a pretty good radius. I might have to move it left and right to get it where we need it. We'll see. There are ways to go. Yeah, somewhere in there. Trying to hold that reasonably level. Have to check it on the truck. So now I gotta move it over over again. Probably close enough to go check it in the truck. Or not. Got to go a little more. I know what I'm going to do. Let's put this in nice and tight. Yeah. Let me grab a hammer. Like a body hammer. Not too bad. I'll go fit it. Well, for a first shot, it's really not too bad. Now, a little fine tuning, but it's actually, the shape's pretty good. And then at the bottom of the dash, it kind of curls under, so about 3/4 of an inch up from the bottom of this. I made this plate a little longer than this one, so it would be more kind of finished. I'd like not to see this line and disappear under the dash. We're going to have to bend this, but the other direction, like that. So, let's do that. It's not near tight a radius as that one, so is the top one. Eyeball it for level, about that far up. It's actually pretty good. Okay. Going the right way. Yep. Whoa. Crooked. That's going to be pretty close. Yeah, it's a little crooked. All right, let me go fit it. Wow, I'm doing pretty good actually. I need a little more on this side and a little less on the other, but that's really because the dash isn't consistent all the way. It's not perfectly straight. A little less on this. Fit again. All right, we got the fit pretty darn good actually. I'm pretty happy with it. Got some fine tuning on it a little bit, straighten up these edges, around the corners, all that stuff. But we'll do that after we get some holes punched in it. So I'm thinking I'll use 2-inch gauges. This is just one I had kicking around, and I'd like to put some toggle switches in it for various things, lights and whatever. So if there's, I don't have I thought I had some toggle switches kicking around, but I don't. So we might position like one here and one here, and then your gauges, etc., etc. So I'll measure across, find center, punch out a 2-inch hole in the center, and then push the other 2 gauges to the side as far as practical, evenly spaced obviously, and then maybe there's room for 4 toggle switches, 2 here and 2 here. I think that'd be a pretty good layout. This is truck dashboard below this radius, and just below this radius, so stay clear of that. So I don't have to cut the dash out any further than it already is. And I'll go online and order a set of gauges. Gonna do a voltmeter because it's got an amp meter in it now. I'm not big on amp meters. I do have some of these digital voltmeters which I use for a lot of things, but I don't think it's appropriate for this truck, so I don't think I'll bother with that. I'll go ahead and get a oil pressure gauge. I got that one temporarily mounted, but we'll get one that matches in this dash, and probably go with water temperature, and I can put a T in the intake manifold for another sensor. I'm hoping the one that's in it will work the gauge that's in the dash. I haven't seen it work yet. I did full field it, I grounded it out, and the gauge appears to work, but then again so does the oil pressure gauge, but the sending unit, evidently we're not getting the correct sending unit every time we order it. Previous owner put one in, I put one in, and they still read wrong. It read like 12 pounds, and where I was pegged out to 45 pounds, I was just pegged out on that temporary gauge that I put in there that I had kicking around. So cool. Well, let me jump online and order some gauges and some switches so I know what I'm putting in, and I'm going to start laying this out. We'll punch this piece of metal out, then we'll get the edges all cleaned up, we'll get the thing sanded down, and I'm going to spray it black with the bed liner material on it. So yeah, we'll go from there, but maybe a white face gauge will look good. Let me go online and see what I find and get them ordered, and I'll show you what I've got coming. Alright, it is the next day. I did get a 2-inch hole saw. Let's cut the holes for the gauges, shall we? belt's cold. Right. Well, it's coming along, isn't it? Well, I think the holes are a little tight. It's going to require just a little deburring. But, yeah, that'll go in there. Let me deburr for a minute. Alright, we got our, just touched up these edges in there so the gauges fit really nice. Now I'm going to go on the belt sander and just sand all these edges straight and get these corners rounded over. And then I picked up some screws at our favorite hardware store this morning, farm store actually. So I got a 1032 Allen head that I thought I'd put 1, 2, 3, probably 4 across the top and bottom there, and do a nut cert into the dash so these will thread in and out. That way they can come in and out as things get added or whatever. So that should look good with this all being black wrinkle finish and black headed fasteners. So, alright, let me go sand on this for a bit. Alright, we got it cleaned up, even sanded it down a little bit, edges, everything kind of rounded over. It looks pretty good. We're going to punch the holes, kind of fitted in the dash. We're going to punch the holes for the mounting hardware with a Whitney punch. One down. I'm adjusting this bottom row just a little bit from my marks, like that. Alright, there we go. She is ready to paint. Alright, let's get to that. Alright, this is truck bed coating from Iron Armor, picked up at Harbor Freight. Kind of a light coat to get you started. The textures come in the second and third coat. Okay, so it's kind of cold out, so this is going to have to sit for a little while. Gonna make a good looking dash. Alright, we'll come back here in a little bit after that's had a chance to tack up and hit her again. Here's what that is. I've used it on quite a few things, and it works really good. I like it. I'll continue to use it. The farther away you stay, the more texture you'll get. And texture is what we're looking for on this dash piece. So, kind of an old school look. Something like that. I'll bring you in, yeah, so you can see it. What do you think? It's gonna look good with the white face gauges and the 4 flip toggle switches. Picture that, covering up that big old hole I got in the dash. Yeah, you got to do what you got to do, I guess. Pretty good fit. All right, well, gang, the parts aren't going to be here for a while, so you'll see what it looks like, I guess, on another video. For this one here, I think we'll wrap it up with dash panel is made. So we made good use of our time this weekend. I've got a couple of things I'm working on. We'll probably get another video out before the weekend's over. That'd be pretty cool. So, gang, thanks for watching. Appreciate the comments. I do read them. Subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate that. Anything you can do, share the video, anything you can do to help my channel, I'd appreciate it. Okay, guys? We'll catch you on the next one. Give me a thumbs up on the way out the door.